believe we are live. Hello, hello, and welcome to a very special stream today. This is going to be an early birthday stream for me. So, hope you like all the quick little decorations. I sort of made them last minute. But, you know, I don't usually tend to do too much to celebrate my birthday. Not these days, anyhow. But I thought some cute decorations might do. Aside from the balloons, you can see I'm also wearing a cute little crown as well. So anyways, in terms of art today, I thought today it would be a little bit more indulgent fan art this time around. So some Hazbin Hotel and possibly some daycare attendant related fan art as well. I will go over like what I happen to be drawing at the time, and I hope you guys enjoy it whether or not you're fans of these things. So let's go ahead and switch over to the art table. Ta-da! Even more balloons everywhere. Balloons, balloons everywhere. Hello, Mr. Repairman, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Yes, this is basically my pre-birthday stream. So I hope you'll forgive me for being a little bit late in replying to any sort of messages. My setup isn't like, it's not the best. But yeah, I think I'll start off with what I managed to sketch up before I started up the stream. Also, please let me know if the audio is doing alright, like if you can hear music as well as my voice and it's not like too much or anything. But yeah, so for those who have seen my Together animatic, you might already be familiar with a couple of canon and OC pairings that I have for Hazbin Hotel. One of them being Alistair and Fallen Angel Helium, and the other one being Vox and the Sinner Sparks. And I'm thinking I will probably start with Alistair and Helium for now. Mostly because I'm more comfortable with how I draw them and what their color scheme is by this point. Vox, I'm still I don't draw them as often, so that's why. Oh, lower the music slightly? Gotcha. Has the music been lowered? Does that help any? If not, I got one more thing to try at least. Actually, maybe for her eyes I'll be outlining it in a light blue. And I think I will keep the eyelashes separate, just to try it out. I don't usually keep the eyelash separate, but who knows, maybe it'll look good. Alright, wonderful, it works. You're very welcome. I'm still, like, a little bit unsure when it comes to streaming setup, so anything that helps with making it a good listening and viewing experience for everyone involved is a-okay in my book. So, the only thing that I'm not completely sure about is what I want to do for the color of the flower band on her horn, as well as settling on her outfit, because I put her in a lot of vaguely cottagecore themed outfits because that's mostly her thing. She's very much supposed to be a gardener, very much one with plant life and that sort of thing. That's basically like the main thing she's into. So I'm just not quite sure. Like, I could give her like a green or maybe some sort of very like light green dress, which would be a nice contrast color considering the amount of red on Alistair, so that could work. But yeah, I will think on that a little bit. But in the meantime, since her hair, her eyes, and her mouth are basically white, I'm gonna try and go for a light blue line art, and hopefully that keeps the softness. But yeah, I hope you've been doing well, and I hope the day's been going good for you. And that goes for anyone watching during the stream or during the VOD as well. I'm not sure if I want to keep this part. Again, trying to go for plant-like, but still not quite settled on the exact aesthetic. Maybe I'll just keep it simple and have, since I have basically like a carnation rose type flower going on here, I'll just put another one. Ooh, should it be on the same side or maybe the different side? I could make them smaller. That could work. Just tinier flowers. With the sweetheart neckline. That could work. That could work. Been doing okay, thanks. Just have this on while working myself. May pop in and out because of that. Of course. This is supposed to be a very chill art stream, so yeah, feel free to lurk and just, be as present as you wish to be. I mean, I know I am very much a lurker myself when it comes to my favorite artists and their streams, so I totally get that. But yeah, so I believe what I want to do now is I think I can start focusing on the darker parts. Actually, I am missing one of my line art pens. I have so many different colors, which is wonderful because that gives me a whole lot of range to do more or less whatever I want. But also, it's like, oh, decision paralysis. What do I do? A gray, so I think what I'll do is I'll start with gray first, and then when needed I will darken to straight up black. So I guess while I'm here working on Helio, I guess I can go a little bit into her backstory, since the only thing that's publicly out there in terms of what her backstory is supposed to be is in the Together animatic that I made like a number of years ago. And basically, like, keep in mind that her design was made during the time where the only Hazbin Hotel related thing that was out at the time was the pilot. So the only thing I had to go on as to what angels looked like in the world of Hazbin Hotel was this one clip that never really made it into the actual pilot, but it was in the promotional material for the pilot, which was the exorcists in their uniforms. And at that point I didn't realize those were uniforms. I just thought that's what angels straight up look like, and I thought, okay, it's cool, it's edgy, I can work with that. But yeah, of course those who've seen the show know that that's not quite the case, but at this point I'm fallen too much in love with this design of her that I don't really want to change her. So this is how she looks. But in anyways, in terms of her actual story, for those who've like actually watched Hazbin Hotel, it might seem a little bit familiar. Basically, she was an exorcist. She came across one sinner and basically like followed them into their home with the intent to slay, to exterminate, but ends up finding out that they have all these mementos of friends, of family, things that are very like human in a sense. And so as she's looking around, she's thinking like her perception of sinners used to be that they were effectively mindless animals once they became sinners. Like there should not be any humanity left in them, which made it much more easier to cull every year, you know? So when she realizes that this sinner actually still has humanity left, it's like, well, if I was wrong about this, what else am I wrong about? And it sticks with her for at least like a number of weeks or so before she finally decides, okay, I'm going to start bringing up my concerns to those above me, because this seems different from what we've been told and what we should know. And she basically got kicked out for questioning the will of heaven, and was basically sentenced to fall at that point. Yeah, an early adoption OC. Yeah, I'm so used to being late to the party with mine. Yeah. It's, I was, when it came to, like, the Hazbin Hotel pilot, like, originally, like, there were, like, trailers just for the pilot alone being, advertised on Tumblr. So, I know, right? Tumblr. Of course it's Tumblr. But I was so, like, fascinated with the art style and just how much character and it's the amount of details, okay? It was strictly the amount of details that every single character had, and I was just like, how? I know how animation works. I know that you have to draw that every single frame in order for it to look smoothly. So in order for it to look that smooth and also keep all those details, I was like, oh my goodness, these people, how are they alive? How are they still surviving after all of that? So morbid curiosity struck, and of course I was also morbidly curious because a lot of the designs just look like straight up, you know, early teenage DeviantArt OC type things. So yeah. The art is striking. I just haven't gotten around to trying the show. Maybe one of these days. I mean, to be fair, you know, it is totally fine if you, like, hold back on the show for a while. Just because the thing about being an early adapter to a show like that is that you're going to be waiting. There's going to be so much waiting. You're going to, like, consume all the media that's officially canon and out there and then be like, when's the next thing? When several months later. Like, from the pilot to the release of season 1 on Amazon Prime, we had to wait like 5 years or so just for that to happen, just because we kept on hearing it's getting picked up. Somebody picked it up. We're just like, we're making the show. It's happening. It really is. And everyone's just like, okay, but when? But when? So, yeah, and it's the same for like a lot of things, I feel like, these days. Like, even for Monster Hunter right now, like, usually, if you're late to a Monster Hunter game, then that's alright, because at that point, all the, like, title updates and all the little events have already been completely released into the full game. So you get all the content without having to wait for updates to it. Like we just got, like, a Capcom collab for Monster Hunter, and now we're waiting on Title Update 2 to come out sometime soonish this year. We'll see. But yeah, it's a lot of the waiting game if you're an early adapter. Yeah, I've driven myself nuts with pilots on YouTube, dude. And I could say similar things for Amazing Digital Circus as well, because, we only got like 3 or 4 episodes of that so far, and we're just still waiting on the next episode for that. But yeah. Sounds like a cool update. If you're talking about the Monster Hunter Capcom collab, it was really cool. It was a Street Fighter 6 collab. People are still looking into it. Basically, not only do you get to make your hunter look like Akuma from Street Fighter 6, but also instead of like one of the 14 weapons that you're usually limited to, you get to try and like kick and punch as if, you know, you're playing Street Fighter, essentially. More or less. But it's like a secret 15th weapon in a sense, and everyone's just like clamoring to try it out. Some people are having trouble, you know, getting used to like how it controls with the limitations of how Monster Hunter usually works. But I personally found it to be like super fun. And yeah, I'm having a great time with it. This one. 4 episodes, and there's a lot left to know. Yeah, in terms of Amazing Digital Circus, there's so much. There's so much I would love to know about that. But, you know, I'm willing to wait because, you know, their stuff is just so good. Like, the writing, the comedy is like right up my alley. Bob Ross, it makes some big decisions. I'm just gonna start off base red. And then I should get some pinks and purples. That would help. be honest, I love your fallen angels backstory. There's so much you can do with angels and devils story-wise. Yeah, I've always thought so too. Because, yeah, the question of morality is certainly an interesting topic, just on the basis of who decides what's moral and what isn't. But yeah, and that's kind of the question that sort of like is the basis for what Helio goes through, aside from the little like pseudo love story with Alistair, which in terms of like Alistair's characterization in this like canon and OC pairing, like I try my best to like keep it as canon as possible because I love the fact that he is Ace. As someone who is also Ace, I respect the Ace rep. But yeah, so, and in the case that he also might be, you know, aromantic as well, then that just adds another layer of, you know, other questions like how does one experience that kind of love, and what does that look like for people? What's enough and what isn't? But yeah, in terms of Helio's story, basically her meeting with Alistair sort of brings up the question of like there's all these sinners in the Hazbin Hotel. Some of them wish to become better and some of them don't. But at the end of the day, who decides that? What makes a person better? And is being down here with sinners really all that bad if the people up in heaven are so stuck in their ways, unwilling to change and unwilling to think differently? So in the end, it's like, even though she doesn't completely subscribe to Alistair's way of thinking, she's at least more lenient to the idea that there are multiple ways to exist, and not, you know, they don't have to look the same, and they could all be like somewhat correct in some way. But also, when it comes to, you know, being infatuated with a cannibal, there's some leniencies that she just has to admit, you know, are just straight up evil. I find the opposite interesting as well. A devil failing to redeem because they don't think it's possible. If I'm evil, what hope do I have of changing that? Yeah, basically, that is like... it's such a good question to have for a story. It really is. You're absolutely right on that. Okay, how do I want to line art this? That's why it looked different. That is not the one that I wanted to use, but that's okay. But yeah, and in terms of like Alistair's growth when it comes to like being around someone like Helio, I feel like he probably at least concedes that even if he doesn't believe that redemption itself is real, that maybe there could be people who are at least deserving of better treatment. So it's like in one way, like she like softens him up a bit while he also like has her open up to the idea of sinning more, essentially. Because again, back in ye olden pilot days, I didn't have much to go on as to how like heaven itself ran and how it treated its angels and how it treated like what we know are dubbed the winners, you know, winners as opposed to sinners. But my original like idea of what hell could have been like was that well, first of all, that Helio would be known as a power, since there was like this whole like angel hierarchy that evolved like the seraphim, the and the cherubim, the thrones, and you know all those types of angels, and that the ones that are sent down to exterminate would be called the powers, and they would essentially be like robotic drones. And that's all that she used to be, just a robot drone with not really a sense of self to speak of. That's what her existence used to be. Just, this is what I do. I exterminate sinners because they are this way, and this is always how it will be. That's all she was before she fell. And then once she did, she's like, everything I ever knew is turned upside down on its head, and I am still processing how to deal with that. It's like, how do I live? How do I find a sense of self? There's something very sweet about that. Angelic androids. Yeah, I read I read like something in relating to like how it having, you know, angels be sort of robotic in a sense is not like a particularly new concept either for fantasy or for sci-fi. Like I guess one easy example could be like the makers in the Doom franchise, that they're essentially like these alien type beings, but they're essentially, you know, angelic in a sense. Although, to be fair, I'm not too familiar with the Doom franchise. I've only played Doom Eternal. So that goes to show how much I know. But yeah, like I think it's at least like understandable to see how those sort of connections can be made. Sure that all this is all inked up. Did I miss a spot? Of course I did. Here. That's the one thing about drawing these Hazbin characters. It's like, did I miss any detail anywhere along here? Like, I know early on, in my early days of trying to replicate how Alistair looks, a lot of times I've kept forgetting either his monocle or his antlers. And it's just always, he seems off for some reason. I wonder why. And then I'll look and I'll be like, darn it, I forgot his antlers again. Ah! Oh, Magic the Gathering has a few robo-angels? Yeah, I can see that. I haven't really played a whole lot of Magic the Gathering. I have some of the cards. I attempted to play a couple of times, but just never completely clicked for me. Like, I think really the last trading card game that I was really into was Yu-Gi-Oh! And before that, I also was into Pokemon a little bit. Maybe I'll try to keep this somewhat consistent, and then what to color the flowers? That is the question. I mean, it's like I could keep them white, but at the same time, she's already got a lot of white, especially her hair is white. I guess I could go with blue. I could go with shades of blue for the flower. walking in. That works. Am I missing anything? Eyebrows. And I think that covers the line art, so I can just start erasing and see how that turns out. Hello and welcome. Thank you for the early birthday wishes. Hope you guys are enjoying your day so far. I have a question of the day up in the pinned, up on top of the chat if you wish to answer it. But other than that, currently I'm just working on some Hazbin Hotel fan art. I just finished the line work. So once I'm sure that all the line work is all in its rightful place, I can get started on some coloring with some alcohol markers. Because that is currently my favorite medium to work with. Curious about who the character beside Alistair is, as my fan character Helio. I have this little like Canon OC animatic on my channel that sort of shows the two pairings that I have, there's Alistair with Helio, and then Vox with the center Sparks. Helio is supposed to be a fallen angel whose design is mostly based off angels from their designs back in the pilot era. Don't mind me, I'm just dropping everything. Is this the right pink? Probably not, but hey, that could work a little bit, at least for some highlights. I'm always worried about smearing ink with the eraser. That's why I love these pens, because they really don't smear. Like, I've been using them for like a lot of my drawings thus far, and I don't have to like wait for them to dry as long as some of my other pens. So once I put them down and have all my liner done, then I can just start erasing. And usually it doesn't matter too much which paper I'm using. Like currently for this one, I'm using some like very cheap watercolor paper. It's like I got it off a dollar store, but the actual watercolor pad was like $3. But yeah, so I mean, I tested it on a previous little fan art actually, but yeah. Favorite dessert is probably ice cream. You love the drawing. Thank you very much. Yeah, I plan on working on this one, and then I also have this one of Vox and Sparks that I plan to work on later. But yeah. And as for the dessert question, a bit of a hard one. It's hard to go wrong with chocolate pastry. Ooh, good choices, all of them. Like, it is very rare for me to be in the mood for ice cream or sweets in general, but at the same time, you can probably tell by what's in front of me, my PNGtuber, but I love me some boba milk tea. I actually have some milk tea sans boba with me right now. But yeah, just to quickly show off, I did test out this watercolor paper with alcohol markers previously, and I made this. This was me just sort of kind of messing around. I had an idea in my head and just kind of ran with it. But yeah, hopefully I can get some decent like gradients and such going for this piece as well. I think Let's try some N0 for this one. I have a couple of other colors that I wish to use. Where is my frost blue? There we go. Technically, this is not the true frost blue, but I use whatever alcohol inks I can afford. I think I realized what sort of idea I would like to use for the flower colors. The jaggedness of him is fantastic there. Thank you. Yeah, I think the one thing about Alistair design that I've really noticed is that he does very much have like the jaggedness of what you would associate like villain archetype characters to be associated with. Red and black and jaggedness, all that good stuff. But it really helps to like especially contrast with say like Helial's softer features right here. So it's super nice. And technically she does have angel wings, but in this particular picture I didn't think it would really suit it, so she's got them hidden for now, although usually she does not. She's very much proud of her wings. She loves flying. But hey, what up? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, just in the midst of some Hazbin Hotel fan art and all that. But I'm thinking that after I'm done with this one and possibly this one right here, that I might do some daycare attendant fan art just because I recently got bit by the brain rot bug for that again. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. But other than that, we're just chilling. We're just hanging out. Feel free to hang around as well. And just to take a moment, I am like a webcomic artist. I'm currently working on some like comic dub projects for my own original comic. And if you see, like, in the corner over there, I have a little thingy to my Ko-fi. And for anyone who's generous, a little thingy will pop up. Hopefully. I still haven't gotten to test that out yet. But hopefully that would work. And if not, just let me know, and I'll be sure to give a shout out for anyone who wants it. And also on my Ko-fi, there's stickers for characters from my Snapdragon Club grand opening comic, as well as stickers for characters from my current comic, The Hunter's Tale. Yay, happy birthday. Pretty big coincidence it shows up on my feed with me being a huge Hazbin Hotel fan. Oh, welcome. Yeah, it is really nice. And you even got Alistair in the name. That's awesome. I'm not, I haven't really been, like, interacting with the fandom at large. I have a couple of friends who are as into the fandom as I am, but yeah. And other than that, I'm just like hanging out in my own little corner of the internet. But welcome all the same. I hope you enjoy your time here. You're just lurking. That is also cool too. No pressure to interact in chat if you don't feel like it. How many wings does she have? The traditional 2, the Seraphim 6, or any other wacky number? She has 2 because she is a lowly angel. She is down there on the lower, rungs of the ranking. So she has 2, but in terms of wackiness, throughout the story, she starts out with like the traditional 2 feathered white wings. And then at some point, one of those white wings turns into a demonic, bat-like wing, which you can see in the Together animatic that I've mentioned a couple of times already. But then she has that. But currently, in the story that she's in, that demonic wing has now turned into a black feathered wing. So now she has 1 white feathered wing and 1 black feathered wing, which is basically symbolizing how she's basically come into her own as a fallen angel. Like she accepts her like old roots, but also like incorporated them into her more sinful lifestyle that she has now in Pride. And also thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Thank you. Not really into the fandom either. Most of it's toxic, and I always get bullied for liking the show and its characters. Yeah, I get that. And yeah, it is a really shame with things that get super popular and everything like that. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes it just gets difficult to have conversations about things without it being a conversation about something else. for lack of better words to describe it. In any case, where was I? Oh yeah. I really like the N6 color from the Copic sketch. because it's basically like a really, really dark gray that it usually, it's not so dark as to completely like get rid of the black line art if there is any. So if I say had a character with like black hair and black eyebrows, and then I just like colored like their entire hair black, then you could usually still see the eyebrows through the hair if I use this. So that's why I like this one. And in the case of this particular piece, I'm starting with an N6 just because it would be on the lighter side of the spectrum, so that way I can start out light, and then if there are places I wish to shade darker, I can do that. And yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the early birthday wishes. Yeah, I thought it was a good opportunity because I've never really like had to do too much to celebrate my birthday usually. So I thought, hey, why not use this as an excuse to like draw things for like stuff I'm currently into, such as Hazbin Hotel, a little bit of the daycare attendant, but also I like Transformers Prime. Monster Hunter is especially a big one currently. And for something a little bit more niche, I also like the Case of the Golden Idol game series. And I also like Amazing Digital Circus as well. But yeah, just feel free to like hang out and lurk, or if you have any questions about the art or what I'm into or any of my like comic projects, you know, feel free to ask. I am always up for talking about all sorts of artistic things. Or, you know, random questions are cool too. I promise I don't bite. But just to let you guys know, my setup is a little bit funky, so I always have to like basically stand up to be able to read chat. So if it takes me a while to get to your message, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's just because I'm currently like focused, and I try to like get up periodically just so I try not to like miss anybody. But yeah, so just to let you know, it might like take me a bit to check up on and catch up on messages, but other than that, I will do my best to like, you know, keep up to date while also not pausing in my art too many times. So far, this is coming together pretty nicely. I think it's been a while since I did a full-on illustration of Helial and Alistair. That's fine, I'd rather you stay focused on your drawing. Yeah, that's fair. I am liking how this is coming out so far, though. Because, as most people know, if you draw with traditional mediums, alcohol markers are expensive, so being able to use them well is something I've been struggling with, but I think I've gotten the hang of it most of the time, at least by now. What other fun facts about Helial have I not mentioned? Originally, she had like a typical exorcist spear, but her main weapon is an angelic scythe. So basically, just a scythe with an angelic steel. You know, that's about what it is. That's still like her favorite weapon to use. But currently in the story she's in, she also has a new angelic weapon made by Carmine, which is essentially a bladed shield. Which, now that I think about it, is very similar to what the Doomslayer has in Doom Eternal: The Dark Ages. Which also brings up another interesting point, because essentially Helial's creation basically took place around the same era as the human medieval era, so she would be like, so she's very ancient, older than Alistair. By all technicality, she's older than Alistair. That's coming together. How about here? I might need to use a darker shade for this particular part. But we'll see. Okay, not looking too bad. Thank you for the happy early birthday wishes. Love your Alistair and Helio drawing. Thank you. Autocorrect, I know how to spell Alistair. Yeah. Darn you, autocorrect. Darn you. Yeah, phone auto always autocorrects his name. Yeah, It does not help that there are multiple ways to spell Alistair. Sometimes it's Alistair. Hey, Alpha. Thank you also for the birthday wishes. Always jealous when I see people coloring as well as you. I can draw just fine, but when it comes to coloring, I skip it. Aww. It takes a while to practice. It also depends on the medium as well, because especially for like traditional art, you know, different mediums react to like different colors differently, and how you layer them and how they like work with whatever paper you're using as well. So it took me a while to figure out how alcohol markers are supposed to layer and work. You know, luckily there's plenty of artists that love to, you know, give tutorials and tips and such. But, you know, helps with things every now and again. But after a while, it's like most of it just comes down to just having the right colors, or at least knowing how to generally mix the colors that you want to get the right vibe that you want. Biggie. Can't hear much of the stream, sadly, due to other people in my call, be yapping, but we'll be here in spirit. Yeah, no worries, Alpha. Thank you very much for stopping by, and also thanks to Sergeant Angel, who's also stopped by in the chat. They're a friend of mine, and who also voices my current protagonist for my comic, Crystal, in the Hunter's Tale comic dub. So, yeah, shout outs to them. And hope when you guys feel like it, you'll check it out, because they do a really good job on that. Like, they are also a really good comic artist as well. Same with Alpha, and he does streams on Twitch, and he does really cool artwork as well. Yeah, I really am lucky to like know a lot of great artistic people and creative people. see if I can find a lighter gray. I like your voice, by the way. It reminds me of a YouTuber I forgot. I can't say I know what YouTuber you're speaking of, but I guess the funny thing is that there are a couple of people who found me because I used to be a part of a review channel with a friend called Lenny and Shinko's Disney Sea, where it was basically reviewing Disney movies. Of course, that didn't last long, and we were mostly doing it for fun anyways. But I was the artist and the voice behind Shinko, the Toon Girl, which Shinko has now been repurposed to become Dolly the Toy Fae in the new Hunter's Tale comic. Oh, you have an OC for Hazbin Hotel or anything in particular? Or, feel free to share in the chat. Okay. Yes. I think this is the correct color for this. bit outside the lines there, but that's okay. I think I can fix that. Her name's Alicia, though on the street called Mrs. Hayes. Owned by the nice mysterious woman named Blissa, Alicia doesn't trust this other overlord. Nice. Yeah, Cineroses are always interesting. There's a whole lot of room for like interpretation for those. Actually, I can keep these over here. Keep these soon. To answer the question of the day, my favorite dessert is every dessert because I can't choose. I love too much stuff. That is also very fair. And in case it isn't obvious by what's in front of my PNGtuber, my favorite is boba milk tea. Specifically, jasmine milk tea. I've been getting them like less and less sweet nowadays, but I still love milk tea. Missed a spot, or two, or three. Think I'd get to the end of this one, but I guess this marker is coming out a little bit dry. least I don't need it in too many spots, so I think I'll be able to cover what I need. Probably won't keep that, but that's okay. At least it's a lighter color, which means I can cover it up later. I think I have a darker red that I can use instead, but we shall see. Guys have any like more OCs that you wish to like tell me about, you know, feel free. We're just chatting. We're just vibing. Hi. Welcome to the chat. Anyone who's new, hi. Girlfriend loves that tea too. Yeah. good stuff. Favorite dessert would be disagreeable, but recently tried everyone's despised ice cream, mint chocolate. Aw, but I like mint chocolate. Which will change back to cookies and cream eventually. Cookies and cream, also a good choice. Love that. Made an angel OC who's helping Adam keep in charge of extermination. She's definitely merciful to demon and definitely does not try to find out creative ways to kill them. Yes, hello. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And thank you for joining the stream. It's just so nice to have people to enjoy, chill, and chat and all that stuff. But yeah, as you can see, we are working on Hazbin Hotel fan art right now. This is Alistair and my fallen angel OC Helio. And after this one, I plan on doing Vox and my Sinner OC Sparks. So we can look forward to that. But yeah, I am liking how this is coming out so far. I'm going to change that purple because that is far too light for his eyeshadow. Have Angel Devil roommates I'm still developing. Named Philia and Ava, both in the human world. Problem is, they kind of need something to do. That is a tough question. Let's see. Let's try deep red. Ooh, that might be it. This might be it. What do you guys think? Do we like this color? Because I think I'm liking it. That's what I'm missing. If I listed my Hazbin Hotel OCs, we'd be all day. I mean, you know, whatever you feel like sharing. But it's always nice to hear about other people's OCs, fandom or otherwise. Just cause, you know, when else do you get like the chance to like share your creativity like that, you know? Like, I know I usually have a hard time finding opportunities to talk about like my original characters, fandom or otherwise. And it looks great, thank you. That looks about right. Then all we have to do is finish coloring helium. And then maybe some sort of simple background somewhere. Oh boy. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Favorite dessert is putting 2 king-size Twixes in the freezer and then breaking my teeth while I eat them. Not gonna lie, pretty fire food. I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. I do like, I put it in like chocolate in the freezer too. It just it helps like keep it like nice and together. I like that. That's cool. Hope you have a wonderful birthday. Thank you. Like, I am lucky I did get a couple of presents. Like, I did get like fan art from a friend of mine for one of my original characters. Not for Hazbin Hotel, but for my original comic series, the Snapdragon Club. And it is just super cool. I love it. But yeah. lots of OCs. Vita the Angel, Alicia the Overlord, Bliss the Overlord, Thatcher Owned Sinner, Morva Lilith and Verosica and Velvet Sim. Don't judge. No judgment here. We are not judging anybody here. Safe to admit I sim for Alistair. I mean, considering your YouTube name, I think it's safe to assume. But, and also, I mean, just look at what I'm drawing here. Look at this. Look at this. You think I would draw this and not absolutely be in love with his design and characteristics and yeah. Look, I have an edgy heart and he checks off like a lot of boxes. And when it comes to like Vox, admittedly, I did not care for him originally. It's like I saw him in the pilot, and it's more like I only saw him. I didn't get to hear him. I didn't see what he was about, so I just thought nothing of him. And then a friend convinced me what they saw in Vox, and I was like, okay, all right, I see it now. And that is how I also became a fan of Vox. And also considering how he acts in season 1. Yeah. So yeah. Vox and Alistair, my top 2, with Serpentius being third. I do want to ask, in terms of webcomicking, do you have a script months in advance, or do you improv? For me, I go for a general overview of plot, then take rough plans of each page as it comes and goes. Despise Vox for obvious reasons. Yes, obvious reasons are obvious. But as for the webcomic question, so it used to be, like, when I was first starting making webcomics, my original thought was, oh, I'll just do a slice of life, do, like, really tiny short snippets of, like, little old pictures of what's going on in the lives of these characters, not really focusing on any particular story. But it's only when I'm actually, like, planning a story, which is what I've been doing recently, is when I have to think of an ending. I have to know the basic plot outline of this happens, then that happens, which leads to this, and therefore this is how it ends. That kind of sort of vagueness. So I at least have to know generally that, just so that way I can start planning out the pages, because I have learned my mistakes from not knowing where I was going with stories and such, and did not end well. Oh geez, I overfilled this marker so much. So yeah, like, say for example, I guess my current comic that I have just finished drawing up, it's 95 pages, but I had no idea it was going to be 95 pages. I just knew that my character was going to go fight a monster and win, and that was about it, more or less. But then as I got into the sketching stages, I would get more into detail of, like, okay, but how exactly does this happen? What exactly happens in the story to go from A to B to C, and so on and so forth. So I always try to make sure that I at least have some inkling of where I'm going, because otherwise I would be stuck, and I don't want to be stuck when I'm in the middle of a large project. Fascinating. Okay. Let's get deep red again. No, actually, I'm gonna go back over with the coral. Ah, now I remembered what I was going to do. Yeah, I had to restart effect because I lost the plot. It stinks. Yeah. It's nice to talk with people and not get insulted for something I like. Absolutely. Feel free to, talk about stuff you like. It's totally fine. Basically, my personal thing is, like, if it's not hurting anyone, you're free to like what you like, I don't know what's going on because I just joined, but happy birthday. Thank you for joining. So, basically, currently, I'm working on just doing some Hazbin Hotel fan art. This is some like canon character with original fanon character. Like this is Alistair and my fallen angel OC Helio. And coming up soon, I'm going to be working on Vox and my Sinner OC Sparks. And then after that, I might get into some daycare attendant from Five Nights at Freddy's fan art, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, mostly we're just like talking about like original characters, fandom things. I have a question of the day up on the top if you don't know, if you'd like to chat but don't know how to start, just, feel free to talk about whatever. It's a really chill space. Yeah, so yeah. I'm just kind of a little bit slow catching up with chat. I'm not used to having this many people in chat, not gonna lie. As an artist, I get scared to do a webcomic because it might not be good. And for that, I have to say, please do the webcomic anyway. Like, if you really just want to do a webcomic, if you have a story in your head that you'd like to do, it doesn't matter if the drawings are good or not, if the story is good or not. I think what matters more is that you start something and finish it, because otherwise, like for me personally, there's definitely like a perfectionist aspect to it, in which you could always be like, oh, do I actually have the skill to like do this? Can I make this happen? And like, will it come through? And maybe it will, maybe it won't. But you're not gonna get better if you don't try. Like, you can see like some of my past like webcomics. I have the Snapdragon Club grand opening in slideshow form on my channel, and you can probably see, just based on those alone, how much my drawing has improved and how much the flow of my comics have improved since then. Or at least I'd like to think they've improved. But especially because it ended in a rushed way, because I realized I had no idea where I was going. I realized I couldn't keep this up just like every week for the rest of my life. So it's like, I have to end this story somehow. So I ended it, even if it was rushed. And it freed me to move on to more other projects that I wanted to do. So, yeah. I mean, there's probably plenty of artists who will probably tell you similar things or even the same thing. It's like, even if you don't have the skill to do it, just do it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much if like people don't like it. It just matters if you got an idea, you want to get it out of your head, and you have the time and the means to do it. Just just go for it. It's scary, but part of the fun is the growth that comes with it. Exactly. Well said. I have soft deadlines to help with the perfectionism thing. Yeah. Kind of the same here as well. I think I'll need to go now, but you've earned a new subscriber. May pop by when you make new content. Stay safe. Yes, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you very much. I do have other like videos where I have like little Hazbin Hotel related fan arts up, but other than that, I just end up streaming every Friday. So for those who are stopping by, thank you for that. I'm still going on, don't worry about it. I'm still going, but yeah, I've taken to streaming on Fridays. Currently my schedule is like starting my streams around like 10 a.m. PST. So hopefully you guys can stop by again. But yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah, blue. Now that I think about it, choosing such a dark blue for this kind of makes it very similar to the blue snapdragons that are the basically the I get as the main thing of the Snapdragon Club. Like, that's their main decor. If I do something like that, and just sort of smooth this out a bit. Okay. I think this is more or less this picture done. Refill this marker later, but oh well. But yeah. So there's Alistair and Helio, aka Radio Dove. All done. Alright. Picture number 2 on the way. So now we have Sparks and Vox. Which is gonna be a challenge for me because I don't draw Vox a whole lot. And I'm mostly drawing him from memory. So, yeah. I'm gonna have to start with a line art for Vox first, I think. Yes, he is a flat screen TV, but also I don't think just making it completely flat screen is the way to go. Let's see. Where is orange? There we are. How sweet. Well, certainly didn't start out that way, so I guess now would be a good time to go over more or less what Sparks' story is. So she fell into Pride, I want to say in the 2000s-ish. Okay. I think I'll put this here. how many of you are familiar with the Twisted Metal game franchise, because I will admit she is very much heavily inspired from one particular character from that franchise. But this is why it's a fan character and not one that I plan to use wholesale. But essentially, her father was in charge of a sort of demolition derby competition in which the winner would get a wish, but the wish would be twisted. So one day she joined the competition and made her own wish for the contest to end, which resulted essentially both her and her dad being magicked into oblivion. And that's how they end up in Pride. But her dad continued to do the contest in Pride, and he was doing all right for a while. He wasn't really overlord status, but he was wealthy to an extent, and definitely had some notoriety. But eventually, his competitions weren't going too well, and in a strange effort to try and redeem herself, she let her father get destroyed by exorcists, and has been feeling the guilt from that ever since. But it also left her in a spot of, well, he's gone and I still need to make a living. So she tried to keep the contest going, but she wasn't doing too well. The contest wasn't doing too well. And that's when she entered a business contract with Vox to be like, hey, I got this contest that could make great television for you. And I'm willing to do like some acting work for you. If you'll like, fund my contest and help me advertise for it. So that's when he basically says, all right. And if it doesn't work out, I'll take everything you have. And she's like, all right. It's not like I have much of a choice. So that's how their business relationship works anyhow. But after a while, he kind of gets to know her a little more. She gets to know him a little more. And they end up being pretty close. Twisted Metal's cool. I love Cousin Ed's wish. He just points at his van and says, make it better. And Calypso simply cannot twist such a simple wish. Yeah! I think in terms of Twisted Metal, oh man, what would be my favorite wish from the Twisted Metal franchise? There's so many good ones. Man, I'm not sure if I can choose, but I think if it's not obvious already, Sparks is based off of Krista Sparks, otherwise known as Grasshopper, who is Calypso's daughter. So in this, Hazbin verse, Sparks is very much like a car junkie. She has, she owns a Jeep that she calls Old Faithful. And she's basically all into making, like cars of mass destruction, as it were. You will see probably in a little bit based on her design, at least like color wise, and the fact that she's a grasshopper demon. That's the also other big takeaway, is that she's a grasshopper demon, so she has legs that help her jump really far, and if she goes into like really super demon mode, she can also have like grasshopper wings as well. Now, here's where I'm blanking. I know that Vox's eyes are not quite the same. One of them has blue line art, the other has black line art. I guess I could try to like quickly look it up. But also, I kind of want to do the other line art first. myself into thinking something was a bug. Ugh. search up which of his eyes are what, because I do not want to mess that up. Excuse me if my picture suddenly changes for a small second. Alright, so this eye, that's the blue one. Yet I keep forgetting even more. Okay. It is red with light blue eyes. Okay. been a long time since I've done like a whole bunch of fan art. Like sometimes I'll do little like side doodles and stuff like that, but I haven't really done any like huge, actually fully illustrated pieces like this in a long time. And I guess it's a little intimidating sometimes when I like look online, go to Tumblr and be like, man, there's so much good stuff out there. I don't want to just fill it with like just random doodles. But at the same time, it's like, who else is gonna post this stuff but you know? Let's see. Okay. Liner's all done. Finally into the coloring process. And this particular OC has gone through like a couple of design changes since I first drew her, because like she's always had short hair, but I think it used to be black, and then only later on I changed it to dark green when I decided that green was going to be like her main color outside of yellow. Green and yellow. This is probably the wrong shade of blue, but not too deep into it now. As I've mentioned a couple of times, I have not drawn Fox a whole lot. So I do not have all of his tiny details remembered just yet. I think this could do well for his suit. Now you can listen properly. It's alright. You didn't miss a whole lot. Just a whole bunch of Hazbin Hotel talk. And just about OCs in general. And in case you didn't see it, here's the finished little Alistair and Helial piece right here. And I am almost about done with the Sparks and Vox one. So after this one, this is when we get into some actual sketching territory, which I still have no idea what I'll do for, like, because I know I want to do some, like, daycare attendant stuff, but I'm not quite sure how I want to go about that just yet. Unfortunately, I think I'm running out of yellow too. These are colors I did not think I was going to run out of so easily, but here I am. Well, I guess this yellow running out is fine because I was planning on tossing this one out anyways. But all of my other yellows, I might need to think about getting some refills. really not sure how to feel about Hazbin. I love the premise, but I can't say I walked away satisfied from the episodes I've seen so far. And that is completely fair. Like, despite me having, like, some fascinations with it, I would be lying if I said I had absolutely, like, no criticisms about the show itself. Same could be said for, you know, the other show that Rizzy Papa's worked on, but, you know, I'm still willing to, like, stick on the train for a while longer just to see how it goes. But yeah, it's like, yes, there are problems, but not enough to make me want to, like, hop off the train just yet. But I will say that despite all my criticisms, the animation is still, like, top-notch stuff. Like, I'm still amazed and in awe of what those animators can do. So, there is always that. Blue, yes. I need these blues. I think. To be honest, I feel like the other show actually worked better. I think Hazbin might be trying to go for a bit too serious of a plot for the kind of story Vivsy can tell. The other show just seems to fit better. Which, you know, is fair enough. But the other show also went into some territory that is personally not for me. But, yeah. So unfortunately I had to jump off that train. Which is a shame, but otherwise I only kind of vaguely stick around for the world building just to see what it's about. That's more or less why I'm there. Okay. But I think all the Hazbin stuff is gonna be behind us soon enough because I think I'm more or less done with this piece. It's just a little something, not too serious, but kinda. Welcome, welcome. Both pieces look great. Thank you very much. So, as you probably saw in the title, we just finished doing some Hazbin Hotel fan art. Oh. So, this was the first one that we did earlier. And here's the one that I just finished now of Vox and my Sinner OC Sparks. Call this one done, and I'm gonna think about what I want to draw in terms of daycare attendant fan art, because that's something I definitely want to do. A completely blank slate. The first time in the stream that we have a completely blank piece of paper. And as I mentioned earlier, this paper is a watercolor paper that I got from technically it used to be a dollar store, but you know, inflation happened, so not quite $1 anymore. The watercolor pad that I got from there was like $3, so it was still pretty much on the cheap side. This is it's not too bad, as you can see from the pieces that I just finished on stream. The quality of the watercolor paper isn't too bad. I just personally like to use watercolor paper for alcohol marker pieces, just because that way I don't have to worry too much with things like seeping through. As you can see on the other sides, they're like almost completely blank. Question is what I want to do for the daycare attendant. I've always liked the little faceplate neck joint thing that they've got going on. It's just so neat. usually draw robotic characters a whole lot, but drawing the daycare attendant definitely helps me figure out how I would like to stylize them to be a little bit like simplified, or at least simplified enough that I don't go like pulling my hair out. used to have like several different versions. Just trying to figure out how I want to draw them in my style. And I'm still not completely sure. I already feel like I just want to start all over again. I do like how Security Breach had the scary pizza robots be hacked rather than possessed this time. It was refreshing. Yeah, I can say that I do like the idea of them being, like, having a virus this time. Mostly just because the Five Nights at Freddy's, like, lore has always been a complete mess, from what I understand. Like, literally, the only reason I kept up with anything was because MatPat was willing to try and piece together this train wreck of a story. Because otherwise, I would not be following along with anything. It's like, okay, we started off with, like, child murder, and then we ended up with, like, was it Remnant? And it's like, and not only are ghosts, like, possessing animatronics, but now they're, like, possessing, like, several ghosts in one animatronic or something, and it's like, why? Why do you do this? Why do you convolute things like this? Why do you do this? I admit I'm mostly in it for the robots personally, and you are not wrong for that here. Listen, I gotta show something. So, this was my first favorite animatronic of the entire franchise. And I even got one of those Fazbear security badges because I've been to a couple of conventions where I actually, like, cosplayed as the Fazbear security guard. And I've met a couple of other cosplayers who, like, cosplayed as the animatronics, and it was super cool. And I mentioned this in a past stream as well, but I've actually done like one Halloween where I would theme everything around Five Nights at Freddy's. I had some like, and it was a huge success. Basically, so many kids were at the door, and we ran out of candy really quick that year. Partial to Withered Bonnie myself. Yeah. There's just so many like really good designs for the animatronics. Oh god, sorry. Sorry about that. Headphone users, I'm sorry if that messed you up. My microphone fell down. My bad. But yeah, you guys can still hear me all right? But yeah, I can safely say that with Security Breach, my favorites quickly became like Glamrock Freddy, just cause super sweet. Monty Gator, cause he's got a cool design. And of course, the daycare attendant. But yeah. And it's really funny that the daycare attendant has become like so many people's favorites that it's basically become its own mini fandom within the FNAF fandom. Like I go onto Tumblr, look up daycare attendant, and there's so many alternative universe takes on just the daycare attendant alone. I've seen them turned into mermaids, turned into fairies, several like different versions of them with different like viruses afflicting them. Some are separated, some are still together. It's a whole menagerie of like just different scenarios just with these guys. And I think it's just because like of like how scrunkly they are. They're so scrunkly. And it's like their sun and moon designs just lend so well to all sorts of different ways you can like creatively mess with them. Being a stubborn Tumblr resident, I admit character-specific fandoms give me flashbacks. But it is great creativity, yes. I am also aware of the character-specific fandoms. Do not quote me the old magics, I was there when it was written. A moment to stretch because I haven't stretched. I don't know. There's been like several different characterizations of like Sun and Moon, personality-wise. It's like Sun can either be like super happy-go-lucky innocent, or sometimes like the single mature one, or maybe he's even like some kind of happy psycho. And then there's Moon. Sometimes he's like really shy, or sometimes he's just like a gremlin. He's just a gremlin. He's like the cat that you can play with the laser pointer with. But yeah, there's been like so many different characterizations of these guys that I really don't know which one would be my favorite, because like in a way they're all good, man. They're all good. Which is why I keep going back and being like, they're so cool. They're so cool. But yeah, now that I'm thinking about robots, maybe one of these days I'll go back into like Transformers Prime and once again attempt to draw Knockout and Soundwave. I think that'd be neat one of these days. But I think for those I would definitely have to like sketch beforehand, because there's so many parts to those guys, and I don't want to have to deal with that on stream. I love how Ruin implies that they are supposed to be one entity, but something fragmented them into two very worrying extremes. Yeah, I wonder about that too, because it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, on the one hand, I do like them as sort of separate but in the same body, just because I kind of like that Jekyll and Hyde aesthetic, I suppose. But at the same time, I love Eclipse. Like, freaking... Gosh, what was his name? But the voice actor does a really great job at all three. That is what I wanted to say. Like, Killingoff, I think. Yeah, Transformers is a heck of a fun bot rabbit hole. Yeah. Like, I'm only a vaguely casual fan of Transformers, just because I started, like, I was aware of Transformers way back in the day, but I was never really a fan of it up until, like, say, Transformers Prime, in which I watched it on Netflix, and I was like, oh no, I have some favorite bots. And it's like the way they're animated too, it's just like, the transformation and like animations are so smooth. I love it. I will say daycare attendant in general is fantastic, as little kids would love, anyone else would be scared of. Yeah, I can definitely see that, yeah. In universe, at least, yeah. sorry that I haven't been sketching a whole lot. I'm mostly stalling because I'm kinda not sure what else to do with this. I think the problem is that unless I like solidify in what context these two are in, that I can't really solidify their designs until I have that. I do kind of like giving them blank eyes though. Maybe if I tried to imagine them in like a realistic Chuck E. Cheese setting. That could be fun. That could be fun. Cause like the thing is, I definitely grew up with Chuck E. Cheese. It's like the one thing outside of Disney that I definitely grew up with, whether I liked it or not. And I had no idea how big of a franchise Chuck E. Cheese was until I like heard other people online talking about it and was like, oh, you actually have a Chuck E. Cheese where you are. Oh, okay. I feel like if they were in a real Chuck E. Cheese, I could see them being like fortune tellers, maybe. Like in one of those like really arcadey, old-timey fortune teller booths. Where it's like they have the crystal balls in front of them, and then like you put in like a couple coins or a ticket or whatever you have, and then they'll like say some spooky mumbo jumbo, and then they'll like give you like a fortune card that gives you like basically a fortune cookie fortune, along with maybe like some lucky numbers or a lucky color or something like that. That could be fun. I like that. remember a bit of showmanship Chuck E. Cheese had that I even appreciated as a kid. The Chuck animatronic had a curtain, and the mascot would only come out when the curtain was closed. Yeah, I remember that too. But I heard they're also getting rid of the animatronics, at least the ones near me, at least, which I'm upset about, because it's like Chuck E. Cheese is basically like discount Disneyland as far as I'm concerned, because it's like, where else would you go where they have like an actual mascot that walks around and hangs out with kids and stuff? That's, you know, not a Disneyland theme park that wouldn't like break the bank, you know? I don't remember the animatronics being scary, to be fair. They're not, like, I think even as a kid, like, I understood that they weren't real, but it's like, I also would not go near them, but but I think there is some level of understanding of, okay, this is like, you know, they're fake. They're not actual real human-sized chickens or mice. These are obviously robots. But at the same time, it's still kind of cool to look at. I like the fortune teller angle. My first thought was storyteller tells stories to kids at scheduled times. That's also another good angle to go for as well. I'm sure there's like plenty, but yeah, I am liking the fortune teller angle. Like, I imagine like a story where like someone who like goes to like these Fazbear attractions are like just wandering around, and they're like, hey, why not? I'll get my fortune read. And it starts like off innocuous enough, and then slowly the fortunes become more and more like specific to the person, up until the point where they like maybe even like use the person's name, and it just really freaks them out, and it's like, oh my god, are these animatronics haunted? What's going on? Yeah, that sounds like a fun one. I'll have to look into that later. Oh man, have we been going for 3 hours already? I was having a lot of fun, but I should probably not stress myself out too thin. And my camera's getting low on battery anyway, so I probably shouldn't strain that either. So, yeah, I think I'll call this my daycare attendant fan art for the day. I mean, I still kind of liked how it came out, the poses and such, the little mini story we came for the fortune tellers. I'll have to like refine that a little bit more, because I'm kind of liking that angle. Thank you for hosting. Have a good one. Yeah! Thank you so much for everyone who stopped by, and for everyone who's viewing the VOD. Thank you for coming by and wishing me a happy birthday. So, I appreciate all of you. And just as... Yes, thank you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And just as one last, final chill moment, once again, I have a Ko-fi. I also have a Patreon. But especially, like, the it doesn't matter if you become a Patreon or donate via Ko-fi. You'll get access to my Sanctus pilot comic, which is 20 pages of basically the story of Dreamwalker and Scotty Hijack, who are basically protagonists in the overarching Snapdragon Club stories. But also, if you go to my Ko-fi, I also have stickers up for sale that are characters from the Snapdragon Club Grand Opening and Wanderer's Tale comic, as well as stickers that are characters from the Hunter's Tale comic, which I am currently working on the comic dub for. If you want to see the pages early, before they're posted onto Tumblr, you can become a patron. But other than that, eventually all the pages will be on Tumblr, or if you're extremely patient, I plan to eventually finish off the comic dub for the Hunter's Tale and post that onto my YouTube channel. And I've been basically on a roll for streaming basically every Friday. I'm currently on a schedule of streaming starting at 10 a.m. PST. So if anyone is able to catch me then I will be more than happy to chat and hang out, and hopefully we can do this again next week. So once again, thank you all for stopping by, and I hope everyone who came by during the stream and also who watched the VOD have a lovely day. So thank you very much. Bye.